like such a terrible mosquito bite.
I have afterbite.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Now in this video, what are you looking at, okay? Don't send me to bed anytime soon. And I have to redo it because you distracted me. Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be attempting to make a Canada Day themed dress. This is extremely last minute because I literally just got the idea like 4 days before Canada Day, and I was like, I have to get the fabric, I have to sew the dress, I have to like do all the accessories that I want to do, and I only have like 3 days plus I have to edit the video and put it up on Canada Day. So it was a real time crunch. I tried to get away I tried to veer away from tacky, but it still turned out pretty tacky. But if being fun is tacky, then I guess I'm tacky. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll get into making the dress now. I started out making this dress by tracing the pattern of the belt. I was originally going to make the belt in a white color closer to the Canadian flag, but I actually found a very nice off-white linen in my fabric bin that would look a lot better with the color red that I had. The red I had was a bit deeper, so I thought that the bright red wouldn't look good with it. I also found the off-white linen gave it more of a rustic, royal look. Funny story, actually. While I was figuring out what bodice pattern I wanted to use to make the dress, I rummaged through my pattern bin, but I couldn't actually find a pattern that I wanted to use. And then I looked in the mirror and was like, my dress is exactly the pattern I want to use. So I took off the dress that I was wearing and traced it onto some scrap newspaper to get some sort of pattern that I could trace onto the fabric. I used the normal method I usually use while making bodices, cutting out 4 separate pieces and sewing them together at the neckline and the sleeves. I pinned the bodice shut and actually tried it on before I sewed it. I actually suggest doing this with most of your bodices. If there's any imperfections, you'll be able to spot it before you sew it, so you won't have to rip the seams and try again. It saves you a lot of time. Trust me, don't rush through it. Try it on and make sure that it's absolutely perfect. You may think it's faster in the long run to just do it and get it over with, but at the end of the day, it's no joke when you've already sewn the dress and you see there's some imperfection that you could have sorted out earlier, and you have to deconstruct the whole thing and try again. I actually got the inspiration from this dress while I was in bed, almost sleeping. Sometimes when I'm in bed and I'm like right on the brink of sleeping, my brain decides to give me an idea for a dress and it won't let me sleep until I draw it. So I drew this on a piece of paper, and in my drawing I decided to try and make a heavily boned belt. So I grabbed some zip ties from Dollarama. If you don't have boning, I highly suggest using zip ties. They're very useful and they're basically like the same as boning. Essentially, they're the same thing. Boning might be a little tougher, but zip ties will do just fine. You can also layer them on top of each other to increase the strength of the zip tie in your bodice or in your belt. So I actually went ahead and marked all the boning channels and sewed them before I inserted the boning. Well, obviously, because that's what you need to do before you insert boning. I used my mom's aviation snips because boning is very, very hard to cut. And I went to just trying to use a scissor because I've actually broken a scissor while doing it. So, yeah, just use like pliers or something to cut the boning. This part's actually pretty boring, so you know what that means. So today's story time actually takes place when I was leaving the store when I bought the fabric. I always go to Value Village to buy my fabric. I buy bed sheets and I sewed them together. That is what this dress is made out of, a red bed sheet I found at Value Village for like $6. But I usually take the bus, and I meet some pretty interesting people. Now, because of the coronavirus pandemic, all the buses are not on time, because I guess they don't feel like they have to be on time. But I was waiting for the bus, and I saw a lady walking by. I was going to try to move out of the way because my scooter was already taking up the sidewalk, and I was waiting for the bus on the other side of my scooter. So I tried to back up, and I stupidly tripped right over my scooter and landed on my butt on the grass. Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. But she actually stopped and asked if I was okay. I met one nice person on the trip to actually make this dress. But then there was a second person who came with her dog. She walked by and she actually just stopped to talk to me about stuff. I thought at first that she was waiting for the bus as well, and then I asked her if she was waiting for the bus, and she was like, "Nope, I just stopped to talk to you." I mean, it's not like I've never gotten into conversations with strangers before. It's just funny that she stopped to talk to me instead of continuing the walk with her dog. We had a very nice conversation about dogs before she left. I just thought that it was really funny that in my quest to make a Canada Day dress for Canada Day, I met two people demonstrate the reason why I'm so proud to be Canadian. We're all nice to each other, and we'll be nice to you too. If someone's mean to you, like, we'll file a letter to the government to get the person deported. Just kidding, that would be mean. After putting some finishing touches on the belt, I went ahead and moved on to making the skirt. I didn't originally plan to do this, but I actually decided to make some ruffles to add to the dress somehow. I cut out multiple strips of the same red fabric and I ironed it. I was thinking it would give the dress a really nice look since it was otherwise pretty boring. I didn't really plan on making any fancy changes to the actual skirt, but once I saw how boring it looked in the actual photo and in my mind, I wanted to spice it up a bit. So I added some ruffles, and in the end, I am very glad I did because the dress looked really good with the ruffle. And if I'm going to be royalty, I have to kind of spruce things up a bit. What royalty has a boring dress? Please. Queen Elizabeth would not approve. I just got a new ruffle foot, and it's like heaven on earth. I make ruffles all the time with my own two hands, and they turn out fine. But the ruffles that are made on the ruffle foot are so pretty. They're so much more pretty than the ones I can make manually. If you don't have a ruffle foot, please add it to your collection. It makes beautiful ruffles. I had like a bow assembly line going on. Like, I cut out all the bow squares or rectangles before I sewed them all together and ironed them. I was popping out bows left, right, and center. I feel like I was on a path to victory because before I was just making them one by one, and then I found the way and I made them all at one time, and it saved me a lot of time. So yeah, that might actually be a good piece of advice. If you're making a lot of bows, use an assembly line to do it. Don't do them one by one like I was. It's much faster to just like do each stage with a lot of bows rather than just make a full one and restart. After I finished making the bows, I started to assemble all the ruffles in the U-shaped thingies onto the skirt. Funny story, actually. I actually dumped all of my 1,000 pins on the dress while this was not supposed to happen. It set me back a lot of time, especially since I had to go to bed soon, and I was really upset. But yeah, I put everything back and I was fine. Until Chip somehow managed to dump them all over again. I am not kidding. God. Okay, so this little guy, tipped over all of my pins again. They're all on the ground on the fabric again, and I have to pick them up. Thanks, Chip. What do you have to say for yourself? Did you just roll your eyes? Hey, excuse me. I'm talking to you. After I finished pinning and sewing all the ruffles to the skirt, I used my ruffle foot to actually ruffle the skirt together so I could attach it to the bodice. My ruffle foot comes in handy so much now. I'm going to be using it a lot. And if you don't have one, once again, buy a ruffle foot. What are you doing? After I had ruffled the skirt, I attached it to the bodice and started to pin it together. Once again, I suggest pinning the skirt and bodice together and seeing how it looks on a mannequin or yourself. It'll save you a lot of trouble if you make changes before you actually sew it together. With the bodice and the skirt in place, I sewed together the bodice to the skirt and sewed the belt on top of everything. It didn't look too shabby, to be honest. I was really proud of myself being able to sew a belt on my sewing machine because the boning was getting in the way all the time. And usually you can bunch up the fabric if you have to get into a tight crevice, but boning, don't even get me started on the boning. After I had it all sewed and pinned onto the bodice, I felt like the dress was still missing something. So I decided to add some sleeves, some puff sleeves, princess puff sleeves as I call them because I don't know the actual name. I went into my pattern bin and found a Wizard of Oz pattern that just so happened to have Dorothy's puff sleeves. I took out, oh my god. I took out the puff sleeve from the package and traced it onto my red fabric. I used my leftover ruffles to make kind of the bottom of the sleeve, and I made some linen bows, which are beautiful, by the way. If you're ever gonna make a bow, I think the best material to use is linen. They make amazing bows. I cut out 2 strips of linen fabric that I used to make the belt, and I made a little sleeve belt. I don't know the terms. They turned out very beautiful, and I happily sewed them on to my dress to add a little pizzazz. I actually got pretty hungry during the creation of the dress, so I decided to make me some ramen noodles. But I realized I needed some protein, so I added a boiled egg. Not very interesting, but a fun fact, if you're planning to be a fashion person or a person in general that is above the age of 18, you might want to stock up on macaroni and cheese packets and ramen noodles. Mr. Noodle is pretty good. Some of the flavors aren't my favorite. Beef is my absolute favorite. If you're a sewing person, make sure to stock up on ramen noodles. Just a tip because, oh my god. Just a tip because they're really fast to make and you don't have to take a lot of time and you don't have to take your concentration off your piece while making your food. I'll say they taste pretty good. To add some more pizzazz to the dress, I tried my best to stencil out the actual maple leaf. I was planning on printing a photo and just cutting it out from that, but I figured that if I could use less ink, then that would be a blessing. Plus, I'm terrible with electronics, and it would probably take me 5 years to print a picture. The stencil actually turned out pretty well, thanks to my impressive stencil skills and drawing and stuff. I was actually debating doing this the day before because I thought that adding a huge maple leaf in the middle of the dress would be so tacky, but I went ahead with it. My original design was to make a solid red maple leaf, kind of like the Canadian flag, but I saw how the dress actually turned out. I wasn't planning on making the sleeves or making the ruffles, so the dress actually ended up looking a lot more regal than I expected it to. So I figured that I couldn't just put a tacky, solid red maple leaf in the middle of the dress. So what I decided to do was mix different colors of autumn, orange, yellow, red, dark pink, kind of light pink, and just kind of dab them in the stencil of the maple leaf to see if it would kind of elevate it and make it less tacky. I mean, I really like tacky stuff, I guess, but I just feel like a solid red maple leaf would make the dress just look not very well made. I also added a lot of whooshies and stuff, to the dress to make it look real pretty. I love stuff like this. And it wasn't that fun because I had to use fabric paint for this. And if you've ever used fabric paint, God bless you, because it is so hard to use. It's like stringy and you have to break off the strings so that it doesn't travel onto the fabric. And it's a pain in the butt, but it was really worth it. The maple leaf actually added a lot of Canadianness to the dress that it didn't have before. It needed a little bit more pizzazz. I know I keep saying it needs more pizzazz, but the dress was so boring to begin with. The flag is literally just 2 red blocks and a maple leaf in the middle. I really had limited stuff to work with and a limited color scheme. So I'm really surprised that this dress actually came out as it did, because I know. I think if I had left out the maple leaf, it would have left out the Canadianness, and therefore I wouldn't be Princess Canada. I mean, seriously, can Princess Canada even exist if she doesn't have a massive maple leaf in the middle of her belt? I don't think so, okay? We need something of Canada. Jeez. With the dress finished, I actually decided to move on to making the scepter and the ball thingy. I don't know what the ball thing is called. I know royals have them and they hold them next to the scepter. So the ball thingy, I had actually picked a huge maple leaf on my way back from Value Village. I just so happened to be underneath a maple tree while I was waiting for the bus. So I plucked a whole bunch of maple leaves that I didn't actually end up using, but I did end up plucking a huge maple leaf that I used for my scepter. So I don't believe this, but just as I was going outside to spray paint the leaves, it starts raining. Like, it literally just started raining. I was just outside earlier today. I could not believe the timing. You want to go outside? Go then. Yeah, that's what I thought, Chip. This is just like such bad timing. So I tried to just wait it out and wait until the rain stopped, but it actually started raining harder because the world loves me, So I went out into the front under my roof to try and spray paint it, since the fumes are toxic. And then I realized that what I had wasn't actually brown spray paint and just some sealing thing that I didn't need. So I went inside to try and find the brown spray paint, which I could not find. But lo and behold, while I was walking down the stairs, I guess my mom had put a bucket of things to bring downstairs, and I fetched out some gold hair spray thing that we got from Value Village like 2 years ago. I'm really surprised because it just so happens that there was just enough in the can to cover the whole maple leaf. Like, seriously. I don't know if I'm super lucky or super unlucky. So I guess I'm lucky and unlucky because I couldn't even find the brown spray paint, but the gold spray paint looked better anyway. So I guess it's good that I didn't find it. Oh yeah, and did I mention the rain stopped right after I stopped spray painting the leaf? I'm not kidding. I don't know if I'm lucky or unlucky. I might be like a coin, like I flip it. And then if it lands on one, I get good luck. And if it lands on the other, I get bad luck. Maybe I should do a costume about that. That sounds dope. During the creation of the scepter and the ball thingy, I got hungry again. So I decided to make some chocolate chip cookies. I have been craving chocolate chip cookies for the past few days and I haven't made them. So I guess now is the perfect time to make them. When I'm on a time crunch to finish a dress before a certain day, yes, now is the time to make chocolate chip cookies. I didn't actually have chocolate chips, but I did have a chocolate bar, so I guess, it would do. I started trying to make chocolate chips by assaulting the chocolate bar with the knife and then assaulting it on the actual counter. The only thing I managed to make was 4 very, very, very large chocolate chips. So I figured it would be easier to cut them instead of prolonging the awful assault. I feel very bad for the chocolate bar. Cutting the chocolate was actually pretty therapeutic. If you ever don't have chocolate chips, just cut up a chocolate bar. It's kind of like ASMR. I wish I had put my microphone next to it so I could just upload it in another video. Chocolate cutting ASMR. I bet people would actually watch that though. By the way, fun fact, my AC was actually broken the whole creation of this dress. I was boiling in 33-degree heat. You have no idea. It was so hot that the butter in the actual butter container melted because it was so humid and hot in the house. Chip was panting the whole time. It was such a disaster. I couldn't imagine being him. I was so sad for him because he had 2 coats on top of the fact that it was burning hot within the house for 2 straight days. It was literally colder outside than it was inside my house. The experience really helped me appreciate having AC because without it, your houses and mine would be boiling hot all the time. Hey, my name is Princess Canada. I am the princess of the glorious nation which is known as Canada. If you're curious about my family history, I'll break it down. I have an older sister called Princess America, or maybe she goes by Queen America. I'm not too sure, she changes her mind a lot of the time. There's also my mother, whose name is Queen England. Her and my older sister don't get along very well. My older sister kind of, rebelled against my mom, but me and my mom made a peaceful separation, and now I live my own life, governing my own country and being my own country. There's plenty of things that I love, including maple syrup and having a complete diet that consists only of poutine. If you've never tried poutine, that's pretty sad actually. I do love my family. There's just such a strong divide between my mother and my sister. I don't know what's going on there. But I personally love everybody in all walks of life. I love nature too. Beavers are really cool, you know. Beavers are a great metaphor for Canada since it actually hasn't been totally proven yet, but we have evidence that leads us to believe that beavers actually let in certain animals into their den or dam. Yeah, dam. Into their dam in winter. Kind of like how I let in people into my country from other circumstances. We love all people here. I don't think you can find many countries in the world where you can just stop a stranger and talk to them and have a normal conversation. That's something that's so unique to us and that I love about governing my country and the individuals that live in my country. If you aren't in my country, I would strongly advise you to book a plane after the coronavirus pandemic. Come and enjoy Canada, my country. Signing off. Hello everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. So yes, this is it. This is the finished costume that I worked very, very hard on. I really hope you enjoyed this video because it was on a real time crunch. I wasn't sure if I was going to get this done or not, and I'm really glad I did. I think the dress turned out really, really nice. I love how the detailing turned out. I wasn't really sure how it was going to turn out, but it turned out amazing. So I'm really happy with this dress. I hope you are too. If you like this video, do me a favor and like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos like this. This is going to be the norm. I'm really excited to start expanding and showing people how I make all my costumes and everything. So yes. Also follow my Instagram because I post all of my pictures and you get to see better detail, I think, of all the dresses I create. But yes, that will be it. I will see you in my next video. Bye!